Hi, T. Carlson here. Starting in 2013, DC Comics had the DCEU of films, and they made several movies in this series, but it's now being relaunched and supplanted by the DCU, which will start later this year with a new Superman film. Today we're going to go back in time to the beginnings of the DCEU, and we're going to look at this three-film collection. This is Zack Snyder's Justice League Trilogy. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. There's a great close-up of our heroes. This includes three films: Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's the spine text, back cover with our pertinent information and credits. Underneath the slipcover, art is basically the same. Okay, we get Man of Steel on 4K and Blu-ray. We get Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice on 4K and Blu-ray. This is the ultimate cut of the movie that runs about 3 hours. It does not include the shorter theatrical cut of the movie. And then we get Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is split across 2 discs. So you have part 1 on 4K, part 1 on Blu-ray, part 2 on 4K, and part 2 on Blu-ray. Again, this is the extended Zack Snyder cut of the movie. This does not include the theatrical cut of the movie. Man of Steel launched the DCEU back in 2013, this being a relaunching of the Superman mythos, which of course would lead to more DC Comics films. This time around, of course, we see Superman growing up on Earth and taking his place as a hero, learning about his heritage as the villainous General Zod comes to Earth in search of Superman, trying to find a codex that he can use to adapt Earth's atmosphere to become like Krypton as a new place to start over with his people, but of course killing out humanity in the process. This film, of course, had a lot to live up to. There hadn't been a good Superman movie in decades. This probably was the best Superman movie to come out since Superman 2 back in the early 1980s. It does attempt to somewhat reinvent the character in a slightly darker context. Sadly, this does not work for Superman nearly as well as it does a character like Batman. But that said, I do think the good outweighs the bad here. Michael Shannon makes a phenomenal General Zod, certainly physically imposing and quite the villain. But then you have, of course, Henry Cavill portraying Superman and doing a bang-up job of it. I'm always really happy to see this guy show up in nearly any film because he always does a bang-up job regardless of what the role requires. And there's a great supporting cast as well, including Kevin Costner portraying Jonathan Kent, Clark Kent's adoptive father on Earth. And there are some great action sequences here, and I do have to say, overall, it is a pretty solid film. Maybe not a classic in the annals of Superman, but certainly a good one, and for most I think that'll be good enough. The DCEU would continue 3 years later in 2016 with the arrival of Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. This time around, the Caped Crusader is doing his thing in Gotham City, fighting against many criminals, while Superman, of course, continues to do his thing as well. Before long, Lex Luthor steps into the equation, and the two heroes are forced to do battle. We also get to see the arrival of Wonder Woman in the DCEU, and the heroes have to unite to take on Doomsday, a villain that certainly has the potential to do a lot of damage. I saw Batman vs. Superman in theaters back in 2016, and I remember just being horribly disappointed with it. I mean, the plot was basically incomprehensive. There was no joy to it whatsoever. The narrative structure, well, I don't even know if I could really see it had a narrative structure. It felt more just like scenes slapped together. You almost need external narration to know what the hell's going on. They did put together an extended cut of the movie for home video, and this actually remedied a lot of the problems that I had with the theatrical release. The story makes much more sense now. Admittedly, it's still not the most interesting or appealing film in the world, but there are some good performances and action scenes despite that. And overall, this cut certainly is an improvement over the theatrical version of the movie. And the actors, of course, do a bang-up job. This introduced Ben Affleck to the DCEU portraying Batman. Sadly, he didn't get to play the role very many times and didn't always get the best material to work with, but I thought Ben Affleck was a fantastic Batman, and it really is a shame we'll probably never see him play this part again. And this trilogy is rounded out by Zack Snyder's Justice League. This time around, Batman, Wonder Woman, and several other heroes have to unite to get Superman back, but also unite a lot of other heroes around the world, including the Flash and the Cyborg, as well as Aquaman, to do battle with Steppenwolf, who's a disciple of the villainous Darkseid, which means they're going to be in for the biggest battle of their lives as an alien invasion begins overtaking Earth, requiring them to take drastic actions to strike back. The theatrical cut of Justice League was a troubled, rushed job, and supposedly Joss Whedon actually directed most of the film despite Snyder getting the credit. It ran for 2 hours. Some of the special effects were not the best. It felt very rushed. I actually did enjoy the theatrical cut of this movie, but what I won't deny is that the Snyder cut is an improvement in every conceivable way. We get a lot more story here. There were a lot of reshoots that were done to create an even more coherent, more full story, including a very fun action sequence involving the Flash, which introduces his character to the DCEU. The Snyder Cut is a phenomenal movie. It runs about 4 hours, which may be a little too long, of course, hence the movie being split across 2 discs. But again, it improves on its theatrical counterpart in every conceivable way, and quite possibly may be the best film of the DCEU in its Snyder Cut form. So how do these movies look in 4K? These discs, of course, are identical to the previous releases, so there's not really a whole lot I can say here that hasn't already been said. Man of Steel is actually an upscale, and it's only a modest uptick from the prior Blu-ray, but again, any improvement I can get is certainly welcome. Just don't expect a massive night and day improvement there. Batman vs. Superman was released on 4K, but it later got a 4K reissue, which was remastered with better color timing and expanded IMAX sequences. That's the version that's included here, and that's certainly an improvement over the prior 4K, which was actually decent looking in its own right. The Snyder Cut is presented in a 4:3 ratio, which is kind of unusual for a major motion picture of any kind, but picture quality here is probably the best of the 3. It is a fantastic movie, and it looks great overall in the 4K Ultra High Def format. As these are reissues of existing movies, they do have the associated bonus features included on their respective discs. There are a lot of EPK-type pieces, so there's certainly some stuff here to watch if you're a fan. If you don't already own these movies, this set is a great way to get all 3 of them in one place, forming that Snyder Trilogy in the DCEU. How about you? What did you think of the DCEU? What was your favorite movie in this trilogy? Favorite movie in the DCEU overall? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm TLT Carlson. I'll see you next time.